Talk about a subject today that some people have never learned how to do, making a decision. Do you know Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich wrote an entire chapter on decision? Most people never make decisions. They have a difficult time with it. Why is that? I think they have a difficult time because their parents made decisions for them until they were too old, and they never learned how to make them. Do you know, the one thing that I did with my kids, I never made a decision for them. They didn't like it. They'd say, come on, don't do that to me. And I said, no, what do you think you should do? And I'd leave it at that. Decision making is a phenomenal concept. And you're going to find out, as he points out in here, that successful people make decisions very fast and they change them very slow, if and when they change them at all. And he said the people that have difficulty in life make their decisions very slow and then change them fast and often. And you know, decision making is a funny thing. You and I think on frequencies. If we could see a bunch of lines and we're thinking on a frequency, and we're on this frequency here, and we're saying, I'm going to do that when this changes. This is never going to change until you get up on this frequency. See, the good that you're after is on a higher frequency than you're operating on, a greater awareness. And if you're down here and you're thinking here on this frequency, and the good you want up here, you got to get your mind up there. How do you get up there? Make the decision, be there. And that's really what you have to do. The second you make a decision, you flip your brain onto a different frequency and you start to attract things to you that you'd never get without making the decision. Do you know, we do a lot of work in decision making in our seminars. It is the most valuable part of the seminar. People want to overcome procrastination, make decisions. And if you really want to make it happen, get this book, Think and Grow Rich, and read the chapter on decision every day for 30 days. I guarantee you, you'll be a different person when you finish it. Now click on the link below and leave your information.
Hi folks, a very, very good evening. Happy Thursday. That's absolutely right, Nikki. I hope you're all good. And here we are. Can you believe it? We're on day 4, night 4. I am so grateful for everything that's happened this week. And who here is feeling slightly tired? Who's here had a lot of information this week? A lot of goings on, and there's been a lot to take in. Oh, Nikki's here as well. Let's bring Nikki in too. Where is she?
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Okay? How are we doing?
Nice to see you. Well, we're just getting
nice
started.
Nice to see you too. Well done. Sorry, my computer did a little bit of an update.
That's okay. We're here now. Kirsten's here and Elizabeth's here and Nikki's here. We're all here. So yeah. Oh. And it's night 4, and tonight we're talking about the one thing that helps you take the first step into whatever the goal we set on Monday, to overcome the limiting beliefs we talked about on Tuesday, to really smash fear in the face and develop faith like we talked about last night. And tonight we're going to talk about decision. So welcome everybody along. Hello there, Lily. She's listening in, but she's driving. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Yes, Nikki, you're right. There's a lot to take in. There's lots and lots to take in. I think Nikki's camera's frozen, so we'll wait and see if she comes back on in a second. But yeah, we are really going to focus on tonight. We're now going to be getting a little bit more serious tonight. Tonight we're going to be, but it's not about the theory now. It's not about the let's think about more about our goals or what our limiting beliefs are or identifying fears. It's now about taking action, taking the first step. You're back.
I am.
You're back.
Sorry, yeah.
Your internet's.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good.
I hear you, yes. So, Bob was saying in that clip there, have you really listened to what he was saying? That most people find making decisions really, really difficult. And I want you all to reflect on how good or not you are making decisions in your life. Would you say you're quite decisive, or would you say that you're indecisive? When options come up, do you need to sleep on it? Do you need to ask other people's opinions? Do you need to look at the pros and the cons? Or are you ones to say, actually, I'm doing it. That's what I'm doing and I'm getting on with it. Now, it might not be in every part of your life, but tonight is about being decisive, and about being decisive links to success. So we've got a few stories to tell tonight, and it links back to just reflect on how we make decisions. It could be, we know that growing up, sometimes parents like to make decisions for their children. I'm one, ever since my children have been young, anytime they've been asking me what to do, I say, well, what do you think? Dad, you always say that. Oh, well, you've got to decide. What do you think? And this is helping them be more decisive, and it helps them to really think about how to make proper decisions. And when we refer to the material we're going to be talking about tonight, particularly within Think and Grow Rich that Bob was talking about, there is a decision article that you got within your workbook. It's all about being decisive. The most successful people make decisions quickly and change them very seldomly, where unsuccessful people are more likely to be indecisive, change their mind often, and take really, really a long time to make decisions. And there's a lot of data and stats out there all about that. And it links back to what we talked about last night, because last night we have worries, we have doubts on the conscious level, we build up that fear, we feel anxious, we suppress the anxiety, it kind of leads that to that depression and disease and disintegration, all from being indecisive. We're having that faith, and I was speaking to somebody this afternoon who has been on a journey for the past 8 months, and they're basically saying, I just know now that I'm better. I just know now that I'm more competent. I just know now I'm better at making decisions. And it's a feeling. Knowing is a feeling. Faith is a feeling. Confidence is a feeling. You just know. So tonight, don't worry if you are putting yourself in one of these camps, being decisive, indecisive, or not making decisions well. Tonight, we're going to give you the tools and some stories to hopefully help you reflect on that. What do you think about decision, Nikki?
Gosh. So much in all of that, and obviously just in the shares, and I haven't obviously made it every night this week for personal reasons, but I've been doing a lot of reflection with life just now this week, and can't actually remember how this thought came into my mind earlier, but this kind of journey of personal development, of really understanding who you are and how you get in your own way, and therefore how to think and feel differently, in a way that's more beneficial, in a way that makes your experience of life different. It is a journey, isn't it? And it does start with a very simple decision. And the decision, I think, is already here for the people that are showing up these evenings with us. It's a decision that there's something inside of us that wants to be expressed. And I was doing some reading today. Tomorrow morning in our Brilliant Minds Academy, we do our financial, we call it the financial intelligence work that we do. And it's basically energetics around wealth, but it's how is open to receiving is your body. And it all starts with intuition. It starts with that feeling inside. And that's what we're studying in the morning. We're reading the Think and Grow Rich book, and it's that 13th principle. And it's, for me, it's about intuition. And through life, we're born with 3 intelligence centers. We're born with the thinking mind, we're born with the heart, and we're born with the gut instinct. And I say to my kids, Jamie, what there's something similar. My daughter had a big decision to make a few weeks ago. And logically, the decision was very clear that, the thinking mind, the voices in her head was very much around doing, so she'd been offered 2 courses. And one was the BA course. So for those of you that don't know, my daughter is a ballet dancer. She studies ballet and contemporary, and this is what she wants to study. And she's been offered, there's not very many schools that do the BA around ballet and contemporary. And she is very adamant that she wants to study both. And so she has this great school in the UK that she's been thinking about most of her kind of, teenage years, while she knew that this is what she wanted to study. This was the school. And then 6 months ago, she discovered another school. So the school that she's been accepted into to do the 3-year degree course is in Leeds, and it's fabulous, and we're all super excited. And then she came and she said, I think I want to go to Barcelona. We're like, okay, Barcelona is a big school, somewhere completely different. Long story short, she applied and she got the Barcelona school, but she didn't get it the way that she thought she was going to get it. She didn't get offered the BA, she got offered the foundation, which is the level below the BA. And I'm thinking in my head, what's the big deal? You know, you're either going for 3 years for the BA or you're now going for 4. No brainer. Or you get to go and do this foundation course and you then see what's available to you at the other side of that. Like, you just don't know. But everybody that wanted to give her opinion and share their opinion was telling her, no, like, you're beyond that. Like, you go and do the BA. This is where you're at now. And so she had all these voices in her head with people that loved her with good intention, you know, wanting to give her some advice. And I used the 3 intelligence centres. I said, well, what's the mind telling you? She's like, well, the BA, go Leeds. Right, okay, what does the heart want? And she said, well, that's easy, Barcelona. I said, okay, what does your instinct tell you? And she just went, Barcelona. And so it was like, that's your answer. You know, we're not taught that the thinking mind is always going to be the one that presents the barriers and obstacles. Its job is to keep us safe. And from the thinking mind's perspective, from the nervous system, from the subconscious perspective, safe means familiar. Safe means this is the logical path, or this is what you've always done. You've always wanted to go to the school. You know, this is always the one. So that's what that mind does. But if that's all we've ever been taught, that how to listen to, and what we're seeing, and I think in our business now, Jamie, I know that you and I are in agreement with this because we speak about this a lot, the way that society is now being, we are so disconnected from our bodies. Like, everything is in the thinking mind, and we are numb because sometimes our feelings are hard. And sometimes we get emotional, and sometimes we're angry, and depending on the messages that we've had growing up, we just numb it. And so for me, it's deciding there's more, and it's in here, and I don't know how to access it, but I know that there's something in here. And I think for me, coming into this journey, my journey around making a decision was having had a really long time in my life, you know, not being very well mentally because of how my thought process was, my thinking and feeling loop. I decided one day to just take a chance and think, well, I don't really want to live like this anymore. And, you know, coming into spaces like this. So that's kind of one part of it. But the other part of it, and I suppose the story that I wanted to share, I wasn't really planning on saying all of that, but I think that's an important message to share, is deciding that you want to feel different is the choice. It is making a decision that I am not up for. One of my coaches asks me, what are you no longer available for? And I love that question. And so I ask it with my clients too, like, what are you no longer available for? And if you're no longer available for your life to be the way that it is right now, what's that burning desire? And that's the starting point, isn't it? The starting point is desire. Well, what do you want instead? And sometimes we don't know what the answer is, like the goal setting bit. A lot of people drop off on night one because they just think, I don't have a goal, or because they don't know how to think like that. But it's okay. The fact that you guys are still here moving forward with us this week is massive, because some of you have really come up with a goal, and I love it. And others that are watching the recording that are more quiet in the background, you know, it's okay to not know what your goal is, because the mind and body connection is not strong yet, because we've not been taught, because everything is but, you know, the logical mind. So yeah, I'll pause there because I've said a lot.
And listen, and please, those of you who are listening, you know, what's resonating with you from what Nikki's saying there?
Share
And which part of that story is really hitting home in regards to where you are in life, what you really want to do? You know, even last night, you know, well done again to. I just want to congratulate Kirsten and Nikki for being so brave going live, and not just going live, but being what we call an intelligent follower, you followed instructions really well. Basically said, after this call, go live and just share what this week's been like so far. And you did it with courage, and it wasn't perfect, and it didn't need to be perfect. And you led where others couldn't. And never underestimate the power of you making that decision last night to do that. So because you have done that, I want to tell you what you've got as a gift at the end of this call, because it was incredible what you've done. And you're giving yourself an indication that by making a choice and making a brave decision, what else can you do in your life? So really think about that, because tonight the whole focus is on making decisions. Now, you've also got a decision article in your workbook that we've sent out as well. And the first paragraph in this article is one of my favourite paragraphs I've ever came across. And it says this: there is a single mental move you can make which in a millisecond will solve enormous problems for you. It has the potential to improve almost any personal or any business situation you will ever encounter. And it could literally propel you down the path to incredible success. We have a name for this magic mental activity, and it's called decision. And this is the thing, when we hump and hay and we're really dwelling on things, once we decide, it's like this weight lifts off our shoulders. And the amount of stories we've got from our clients, and when you work with us in our academy, it happens as well, that you have this epiphany, you go, that's it. That's what I want to do. Vicky, who is part of our academy, who was on last time sharing her story, once she decided, I just want to go and speak globally because she's a global expert in conservation, the emotion she got from that, finding her purpose, was incredible. And that can happen for you too. When I made the decision to go through this material and actually understood that I know now what held me back for so long was how I seen myself, this emotional purge came through my body. It was like, oh my goodness. And that's what it was like for many, many other people as well, because I decided to go and do this. And within this article, there's so many bits of gold in here. One other part in here that I want you to really understand, and this is where people go, nah, that can't be true. It says, once you make the decision, you will find all the people, resources, and ideas you need every time. And my story went, I've been in the coaching space, which I thought was a coaching space for a while. But when I found out other coaching spaces, I thought, what on earth is going on here? When I found the personal development workshops happening with big speakers across the world, Bob Proctor's company, I met one of his coaches back in 2019. I thought, that's what I want to do. It completely blew my mind. I had no idea how I was going to do it. Here's me making an extra £1,000 a month, thinking, this is it. I have made it on top of my main job. And then when I was introduced to this material and this concept, I went, what on earth is that? And now I had no idea how to do that, but I then made the decision, I want to work with Bob Proctor. Now, that took me about a year because COVID came along, and then at the end of COVID, I thought, right, okay, I met with one of his coaches saying, this is what I want to do, but I'm not too sure I'm quite ready yet, indecisive at the time. Well, it's up to you. You go and work on your self-image and go on this wee safe program. And I did that. It was a lot of money at the time. I thought, oh my God, where am I going to get $5,000 from? But I did it. And then as I went through that 1 month, I was writing my goal down, similar to what you did at the start of this program. I'm so happy and grateful now that I am a Proctor Gallagher coach, helping people all over the world in my global coaching community by, and I put a date by the end of that year. And I kept on writing that and reading it, writing it and reading it. And 1 month into that program, I had this one day, it was Wednesday, the 21st of January, 2021. And that morning I thought, why am I writing this? Why am I not just doing it? And I decided that morning I didn't have the money. I needed £10,000. I didn't have the money. And I phoned my coach that morning and says, I'm doing this today. He went, are you? Well, let's get you enrolled in. How you want to pay? I says, don't have the money yet. So I said, I'll phone you back later on. Unbeknown to me, something magical was about to happen. I went for a visit with an advisor at the Business Gateway, where I got a Digital Boost grant to review my website, to looking at traffic and SEO and all these wonderful buzzwords. And I just wanted to go and thank her for the help that I got from that. And at the end of the meeting, she said, "Is there anything else I can help you with?" I was like, "No, really, no. What about, a loan or that, because of COVID?" I said, "No, I'm not taking on anything like that." She said, "Well, what about the bounce back loan?" I says, "What's a bounce back loan?" She says, "Well, if your business has been affected, and say hypothetically, you can say this is how much it's been affected by, you get 10%, sorry, 20% of what that might have been." I said, "Say that again." She says, "Well, say your business was going to make 50 grand, you can apply it for 10 grand. Now I thought, wait a second here. And it just went boom, boom, boom. Got my phone up and I got in the car. It was 2:45. I was about to pick up my little girl from school, enter some data into my phone, took 15 seconds, drove home, picked her up, got home at 3:20, and I looked at my phone and there's £10,000 in my account. I phoned up my coach, Matthew, and went, "I am in." So that might sound like, well, what does that mean? Well, it means that when I made a decision that morning, when you make a decision, you'll find all the people and the resources and the ideas every time once you make a committed decision. And then there was a deposit and I worked out how to pay up the rest. Now that happens in many, many different parts in your life. It could be, I can't buy the house. Don't worry about buying the house if you've not decided to do it yet. Well, where are we going to get the money? Bob talks about frequencies. And if you really think about frequencies, Bob talks about, if there's infinite amount of frequencies, we're going to just do a little bit of drawing here. There's multiple frequencies. We talked about it this other night. Angry, sad, depressed, guilty, up to joy and all these wonderful happiness and feelings up here. Now, most people are thinking on this frequency down here. And we're saying, okay, I'm here, but I want to get here. And what Bob was saying in that clip there says, well, we can't get up there if we keep our thinking in the same frequency as our current results. If we want to get new results, we need to elevate our thinking to think up there. And the only way to go from here to here is by making not just a decision, a committed decision. There is a difference between deciding to do something and committing to do something. When you decide to do something, yeah, I'm going to start that. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to do that.
Or I'll try
Yeah.
and do that.
I'll do that on Monday.
Try and eat healthier. I'll try and...
Yeah. I'll do that when I've got the money. I'll do that in summer when it's warmer. I'll do it when the kids get older. I'll do it when, and Brian Tracy will always say that you go to that very populated island called Someday Island. When will somebody do that? When you make a committed decision, an irrevocable decision, you get it done. And once you've got that desire, you make sure it happens. That's why Bob was referring to in Think and Grow Rich as well, is that there's a whole chapter on decision in here. And he says, read it for 30 days and just watch what happens. The article you've got within your workbook, read it for 30 days. Watch what happens. If you want to make moves in your life, you've got to be profound at making decisions. And this is what we do. To get going, the first step is deciding you want to go after this. And it's all about frequencies. All about frequencies. Feeling is the way we articulate the conscious awareness of the frequency we're on. Low frequencies, scared, worried, doubt, guilt. Up here, confidence, gratitude, happiness, joy, love. And the frequency needs to match. Feeling is the secret, as we say. What about your story, Nikki, when we decided to work together? We had a coffee in the post office, little cafe in Invergowrie, about 2 years ago now.
It probably was 2 years ago. It was, yeah. I mean, my story probably started before then. I think I always feel very grateful for the job that I was in. So my kind of career, my first half of my career was international. I worked for Marriott Hotels. I did a lot of traveling. I think I told you the story at the beginning of the week, didn't I? Did I share the story already? I'm trying to remember what I've shared and what I've not shared. But when I moved back home, that was the proper job story. Get now that you're back, you could get a proper job, and really discounted the career that I'd had, and ended up working in the NHS. And I ended up being there for about 22 years. And the culture for local public sector it's sometimes not particularly healthy in certain areas. Now, I've been in and out of the local hospital this week purely because of my kind of personal circumstances. A very close relative who's been very unwell this week, hence my sporadic attendance. And you know, the people have just been phenomenal, the care and everything. But the job that I did was working with people who, particularly managers and leaders that were put into roles that weren't really good at managing and leading, and the impact of what comes from that. And I was invited into coaching as one of my jobs. I was told, if you're going to come for this job, this is fabulous, but you'll need to do a postgrad in coaching. And at the time, I didn't really know what coaching was. And in hindsight, I could say I've been coaching my whole career. It just wasn't officially called coaching. And I ended up doing my degree, my postgrad in coaching. And then my desire rose that I just wanted to go and be a coach. And it was part of my job within the NHS, but it wasn't allowed to become my full job. And so over time, as I invested in my own self to become an even better coach and to go, that was when I started to get that idea of starting my own business. And the first time that I said that out loud to my coach at the time, because I was kind of trying to find a new job and couldn't find anything that I really wanted to do. And she had said, well, what is it that you really want? What do you really want to do? And I had said, I want to have my own business. But I followed it up with the but that's not for me. And I had said both things so quickly that I hadn't even realised that was what I had said. So there was a part of me that wanted to become a business owner, an entrepreneur. And then there's the part of me that wanted to keep me safe. And so it shut it down without me even registering. And she had then paused and she had said, let's go back to that. And I was hearing myself for the first time. I want to be a coach. Wow, I've said that out loud and I didn't even know that. I want to have my own business. Wow, I've said that out loud and I didn't even know that. And so that then became my work. But having been conditioned to working since I was 16, since I was able to have a job, I've had a job, and I worked all through school, through uni, and went straight from that into education, you know, working all right up until last year. So my nervous system just was not aligned in any way. The fear levels were horrific. And that was my introduction to NLP. I became a client of a coach who was an NLP coach and rewired my mind with magic and mystery of what NLP is. And so the kind of instantaneous, the coaching, NLP coaching is like coaching on steroids. Straight away, my difference in terms of my language, my thinking and feeling around money. That was my biggest thing, was the scarcity mindset around money, because I'd only ever earned and my salary had been really capped and I had 10 years of a pay freeze. So I had a lot of fear around money and around not earning enough. And we'd lived in scarcity. We'd lived, you know, predominantly through my whole children's young lives. The story that Johnny and I told ourselves always every month was, we don't have enough, we don't have enough. And so we never had enough. And so that fear just became who I was. And that was how we lived for years and years and years. We lived around shame and fear around money. And it impacted a lot of our lives, our marriage, everything. It was horrible. And I became a really unhappy person, and I became very envious of people who were able to either, you know, not work with their children or work less hours or have holidays and have nice cars. And, you know, we were just not even able to get through the month without putting stuff on credit cards. So that was my story around it. Jamie and I met for coffee. So at this point, I had started to launch the business, and because I had another coach who was helping me with that. And I remember making that decision that I was going to become a business owner. And I had to do a lot of work, as I said, on the money mindset with my NLP coach. And then I met another coach who had helped me with writing courses. That was her offer, was, if you're a coach and you want to create a group coaching program, I can help you with that. And I thought, well, 30 years working with leaders in various organisations, internationally, nationally, private sector, public sector, I have got a lot of material that I could write a coaching program that would support people to become leaders. And so I invested in that. And that was the first financial investment that I had made. The first, thousands of pounds. And I remember going to Geordie and saying, I want to pay this course. It's £5,000. And he just was like, you're joking me. Like, we kind of make ends meet. We haven't. But for God knows number of years, our debt is like bigger than our house. Like, no. And I was hysterical. But I thought, no, I'm doing this. And because I had just launched, but my story's a little bit different to Jamie's. I always feel a bit like, how did that not happen to me? I got a credit card through the post attached to the business. And I thought, I'm putting it on a credit card. And I put it on a business credit card. And I just thought, fuck it. Sorry. But that was how it worked for me. So then I started to I launched the business and I started to create my coaching program. And then you and I met, and this was the biggest thing, because Jamie and I, we knew each other, but we didn't know each other particularly well, but we'd known each other for years. And he said, I see you're doing what I'm doing, come and meet with me. And the thing was the material, your access to the material, the lineage of the material that we now deliver together, that blew my mind. I'd never seen anything like it. And having been coaching and having been in around personal development material and leadership development material, that material blew my mind. And I was creating my own material every week. And Elizabeth, you're watching it. If you're still watching, Elizabeth was supporting me back then. We were in the same coaching spaces together, creating our own programs. And so every week I would be sending her like screeds and notes and PowerPoint slides and say, please create this, because I was delivering a coaching program. But I never saw my family, because I was still working full time. My nights were dedicated to the coaching business. My weekends were dedicated to the coaching business. And I did this for well over a year. And then in the end, we got together as business partners. And it was, and I think this is the bit, isn't it? It's like, until you decide the future, the pathway that's available to you does not present itself. Mm-hmm. And so every step of the way, so first of all, becoming a client of yours, because it was about the material, wasn't it? It was about me working on my own mindset to keep going with doing what I was doing. It was never about us working together back then. It was just about, well, I need this material in my life to help me to keep going, to help me to be okay with the sacrifices that I was making. And I was okay with the sacrifices because it was short term. And I knew that it was, it was going to bring in the money and it was going to help me to give up the job. And then that's a whole other story on its own, was giving up the job. Yeah. Shall I just shall I give that as a summary to end?
Absolutely, because that's massive.
So as part of the story with my husband, eventually he just declared, I think he just buried his head in the sand with the whole card thing. He just said, I want nothing to do with it. And I said, that's fine, I'm okay with that. And there was also that kind of empowerment bit as well, about really then having been in a marriage for 20 years and everything was so connected. There was something that was really empowering about taking that part of me back and knowing, and it was a knowing, it was a faith in me. And this is before I had this kind of language, because this is before the material, but it was just a feeling that, and I knew that if I didn't do it then, I would never do it. Mm-hmm. I knew that. And I just thought, no, this is an opportunity. It's here and it's presented itself and I'm going to do it. And then I decided that this was it. I was going all in. There was the director's jobs coming up in my team structure, and my mum was like, well, you'll be going for that, won't you? And I was just like, no. And my husband, promotion. And I just thought, I'm done. I'm done with promotion. I am done with working the hours that I'm working. I am done with being drained, because I was being drained at this point. This is what I love. This is what lights my life. And I want to have my own business. And so my husband had then, okay, so he kind of was trying to accept all this, and he said, well, can you at least have like half a year's salary in the bank before you leave? And I was like, oh, right, must I? Right, okay. Because I just wanted to give up working. I was just ready to give up working. And that's the story that I did tell, which was about setting the goal and not achieving it, because it was about having the money in the bank. And then the March, so you and I became business partners in January. We didn't have any idea what it was going to look like, but we're like, yeah, let's just do this, because we were very aligned. We realized very quickly how aligned we were. And Jamie had said to me, well, you'll need to come to Arizona. And this was the first training that we were doing together through Procter Gallagher. And of course, in my head, it was like, where the fuck are we going to get thousands of pounds to do this, as well as the flights, as well as the hotel? But it was like, yep, just trust the process, Nikki. So it was like, yep, yes, let's commit. And we did it. I mean, God, we had the time of our life, bringing the clients in to do that. You know, it was so much fun, and we did it. And then it was that session that Sandy put. So Sandy Gallagher, the first presentation of the first day, and the first slide that she put up was, love yourself enough to walk away from anything that doesn't make you happy and doesn't serve you or help you to grow. And I took a screenshot of it and I sent it to my husband and I said, we need to talk. I need to leave my job. And the money was not in the bank. The money was nothing like in the bank. And we didn't speak about it for about a month when I got home. But I just knew that we are energetic beings, and my job was draining me, and there was no way in the world I was going to be a successful coach, as in business wise, as long as I was working, because it was too much by this point. I was too tired, I was too drained, and the day-to-day, my heart just wasn't in it, and it was never going to be in it anymore, and I couldn't pretend that it was in it anymore, and my heart was in wanting to be a coach. And so I wasn't living in alignment. And if you're not in alignment, it won't work. So I made that very brave decision to walk away from a 22-year career in one organisation and a 30-year career in leadership, and went all in on the business. And it was the most freeing decision I have ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are.
And here we are. And again, I would encourage people to think about decisions you've made in your life where it does feel liberating and it does feel freeing. And my story is similar to Nikki's as well. Now, I was in the public sector for 20 years, and I knew my time was coming to the end, and decided it had come to an end, and I just was waiting on just that final nail in the coffin, and it came, and I thought, right, that's me, I'm going. And that was when I did that. That was in March. That was February 2023 when I left in 2023, and it was liberating. 3 months by myself, just in the business, with our academy, with other businesses getting in touch, and when I left, the amount of business that people were getting in touch for me to go and do things. I remember being in the Crieff Hydel here in Scotland one day, getting invited to go and work with this dental practice. And I thought, this is the time of my life. I went in there just to talk about goal setting, talk about culture, gave them some exercises. And then I really hit home that this is what I want to do. And I walked in early because I had a wee pre-session before I went in, and I heard them talking about their quarterly targets. And they were talking, yep, 83, that's it, 83. That's not bad, £83,000. That's all right for a quarterly target. 83 million. That was a target across the UK. I'm like, I'm in the right place. And we had a great session, and I remember, but then, and this is something you all might resonate with as well, my paradigm started to go on fire about, is this safe? So my gut was saying, this is brilliant and it's so good. And then my paradigm said, but is this safe? And professional football had been a massive part of my life, and people pleasing was a massive part of my life. And then I knew that there was a significant football figure, world renowned, said, do you fancy coming on board and doing this? And I'm like, okay. Knowing that my head's going, yeah, absolutely, Dad will be proud, and yep, the city will be proud, and yeah, there's an expectation, you spent your life, go for it. And my gut saying, what on earth are you doing? And I did that for 2 years, and it was the most misaligned thing I've ever done. Understanding that only just last summer that I decided, again, another massive decision, knowing that the fear of the public are going to be laughing at me, You know, there's thousands of football fans that'll be laughing at me, saying, "What do you think you've done?" And I never knew how much that affected me till last summer. And I'm just getting over that now. But the decision of letting people down, not living up to other people's expectations, and actually saying, "No, this is my life." But it took me so much guts, and so the accountability that me and Nikki got as well. That Nikki left her job. I thought, what's that about? I need to do this. I need to be serious as well. But it was the scariest thing ever. And it wasn't scary because I didn't feel I was capable and able to do it. The fear was, what will other people think? And that was because, and I remember another significant figure in football, I seen the week I did it, he went, "Tell me the rumours aren't true." I went, "Yeah." He went, "What are you doing? You've developed these boys for 6, 7, 8 years. They're just about to sign professional, and you're abandoning them." I was like, "They'll be fine." And I never knew how much that affected me in terms of being in that environment until Christmas time. They're going, "Wow," and you don't know what you're involved in and how much the environment has an impact on you until you leave that. When you make a committed decision to do that. Now, this is where we all are, and we talked about last night the fear of doing that, and that's why if you've got your workbooks in front of you, there's 2 particular questions here, and the first question says this: how long have you been at the same level with your results in your life? And it says, be honest with yourself. And if I look back, I wasn't being honest with myself. I knew wanting my result to be better, but I knew that the time and effort I was putting into something that no longer served me. Now I'm putting my time and effort into something that is absolutely aligned, and we have got so massive goals and plans of what we want to do. It's because being honest, the seed for achievement is about truth and honesty and integrity with yourself. And then the second question at the bottom of the page says, think about a time in your life when you wanted to make a decision, but fear stopped you. Now, I can almost guarantee that you're sitting there tonight saying, I know what I should be doing. And there's something holding you back. The fear of the what ifs, the buts that Nikki talks about. Mm-hmm. And these are just stories that happen and play on record over and over in our mind. And they haven't happened yet. Versus, actually, what would happen if you decided to go after what you really, really wanted in this life we've got? And Bob often talks about the sand timer. You know, the sand in the bottom is the past. We can't do anything about it. And the sand at the top, we've got no idea how much sand is left. But this part in the middle here is what we've got control of right now. This is the present moment where we can make decisions about what we do with the rest of our life. So you've got a choice tonight what you're going to do. As of tomorrow, what do you want the rest of your life to be like? I was listening to something this week, and they said, I thought it was funny, you can't make the sand go back up the way. The sand doesn't travel up in a sand timer. It only travels down. So as your sand travels down, you get to decide what memories are in the past. You can't do nothing what's happened, but you can decide now what you do as of tomorrow, because tomorrow is the first day of the rest of your life. Today is tomorrow's yesterday. So what do we do about that? And it's about making decisions. Making decisions.
Can I tell a story?
Yes.
This is a different story, a different style of story. But I'm trusting my intuition that because it's popped up, it needs to be said. I don't know if you remember this story, Jamie, but towards the end of last year, I bought a packet of wildflower seeds for the garden. And I love wildflower seeds. And I was so excited to plant them and for them to grow. And I remember kind of watching all my potted plants out the back garden, and there was nothing growing. And I was like, why are they not growing? Why are they not growing? And then one thing popped through, and it started to grow up my rose bush. And it went about a foot up. And then Johnny was doing something, it was kind of coming towards autumn. And he'd gone out and he'd kind of cleaned the garden up a bit. And he took this he took it out. And I was like, oh my God, the one and only one that worked. He took it out. And so I went in and I said to him, you took that out, Johnny, that was a wildflower. And he was kind of looking at me as if, now I know he was looking at me thinking, but he was like, all right, okay, Nikki. I said, so if like any more come through, Johnny, please don't take them out. I said, they're just not growing. And he said, okay, that's fine, no problem. And I don't know how long it was after that. And I was clearing up some of the dog stuff. And I found the packet. And I hadn't planted them. And what he pulled out was a weed. And I was like, oh, well, there's a metaphor for personal development, if ever there was one.
Yes.
You know, I'm putting all this energy and attention into something that I hadn't even done. And so the only thing that I got was a weed. And so for me, this last few days, it is about setting goals. It's always about setting direction because the mind needs direction. But actually, it is just deciding, what are you choosing? You know, what are the seeds that you're sowing? Because we have to consciously choose and do the things to get what we want, because we'll always get what we don't want.
Always. What about the story? Just last one, because I know some people are thinking, right, well, where does all this go?
I like the story.
You love the story about the garden of the subconscious mind.
Yeah. I think that's
And what we plant.
resonates with me. Yeah.
What resonates there when you hear that story?
So I use a lot of this in the NLP practices that we do. And it's the garden of the mind. And for me, with NLP, it is, how do you clear your mind of the weeds? So let's just go back to that story and create it so that it's clear. Let's clear it and create what I call the field of potentiality. Because once you create that, once you clear that, you can plant any seeds that you want. But the basis of this for me, is it James Allen? It's the James Allen story, isn't it? So when I read this was years ago that I read this, but it has very much become core to my NLP coaching practice. And he talks about the garden of the mind, and that in a normal garden, if you don't plant the seeds, no, you can plant the seeds, but you have to nourish them. And if you don't plant the seeds, weeds grow anyway. And when the weeds grow, they're just huge and they take over everything. But when you plant the seeds, like the roses or the sunflowers, you have to nourish them. You have to feed them. Otherwise, they won't grow. And so I use that analogy about thoughts and about our goals and our direction and what we want from life. And we get to plant them by the work that we do, the daily practices that we do, and we get to create our garden, we get to create our life. And it's all about the seeds that we plant and the seeds that we nourish every day. And it's about having patience. So one of the stories that we used quite recently in the Brilliant Minds Academy was about pineapples. The seeds of a pineapple take 18 months to grow into a pineapple. And the wonderful thing about the pineapple seeds is once the first pineapple has grown, the next pineapple is a lot less time. And again, most people don't do the work because they don't get the results quick enough. And again, thinking about modern day society, we are conditioned now to instant gratification. And one of the reasons why something like Facebook is so popular is because psychologically, when we are going through Facebook and we are liking things, we are teaching our brain to like, and we're getting this instant gratification. Life isn't like that, but we're losing connection with life, and we're stuck in this scrolling this, zombie scrolling. Whereas let's plant the seeds of the pineapple and let it be and let it grow and enjoy the fruits of our labour. But this work is not done in a week or a fortnight. This is deep work. But whatever thoughts that you've been practicing that's got you here, you get to decide, I'm not available for this way of living anymore. And so then we get to plant different seeds and go on that journey of nourishing the seeds and creating the gardens that we want to have. But it's conscious work, bringing the unconscious into consciousness.
Love it. So there's lots of information, lots of stories you've heard tonight. But I want you to just really sit back and reflect. Reflect on just some questions. Who here is ready to change your life as of tonight? Type yes in the chat of this is it. Who here wants to feel happier? Type yes. Who here wants to have more health, better health? Type yes. Who here wants more wealth? Who here just wants the story of their life to be one that you're proud of, others are proud of, that the impact you have, the freedom you have, freedom of choice, freedom of being anxious, freedom of being indecisive, freedom of feeling lonely, feeling sad, feeling angry. Could you imagine if for the rest of your life that none of those negative feelings ever, ever, ever existed again? Is that worth making the best decision of your life to go and have a life like that? Because we're not finished yet. We've got tomorrow to come and really talk about the one thing that holds us back. Nikki, we often talk about fears that hold us back. And I'm seeing there's two fears that really hold most people in businesses back. One is a fear of conflict and difficult conversations. But the second thing is the fear of money. The fear of talking about money. And tomorrow we're going to talk about money. But before then, tonight, right now, it's about decisions. So I'm going to put a link into the chat. And you've got an opportunity to book a call with me and Nikki to really bring together all this material that you've covered this week, from having an intention of where you want to go, understanding what's holding you back, really unraveling the fears and how developing the faith and having the tools to develop faith, and just making a decision you're going to go after this. So right now, and we're going to give a time between now and the end of the call, we're putting a link into the chat, and just click on that link and let's see who's decisive, who's brave, who wants to really have a chat, a really deep conversation. We're going to help guide you through what you've created so far this week and where you take the rest of your life. And again, me and Nikki said at the start of the week, we are going to give you absolutely everything. So squeeze us, take everything you need in order for you to move forward. We have got your back more than you know. So you've got a choice now to book a call with us, one-on-one, to really get to know you a little bit better and how we move you towards the life that you want to design for yourself. You might think that reality is just a pipe dream, but we specialise in helping people creating the reality that is way beyond their level of comprehension, and it comes true. So if you're ready to do that, I'm going to monitor the emails coming through. Let's see who's brave tonight. And you're one decision away from a completely different life. And the thing here in the back of the worksheets has got you to really consider where your decisions can have an impact on other people's lives. It's saying here, write down the names of people who would suffer the most if you stayed where you are in life right now. If you stayed in the same circumstances and conditions and the environments you're around, how would you feel for the rest of your life? Would you have the opportunities to go after what you really want to do? Would you have the freedom of choice to do what you really wanted to do? Would you experience what life has got to offer in this world? doing the things you want to do with the people you love anytime you want to do it.
Do you know, that was one of my things with when I was thinking about making my decision when Johnny had said no. I thought, if I listen to him, where does my marriage go? Because in 4 years' time, 5 years' time, if I'm still doing the same, where's my resentment going to lie? I know it's mine to own, but I wouldn't have had the resilience or the wherewithal to own it, because I was still in blame mode back then. I was still in scarcity mindset, and there was, for a long time, I lived in the it's all your fault. And I'm ending my marriage because I'm so miserable because I'm married to you, and it was all a load of crap. But but that was where my mind was taking me. These were the thoughts that were going through my mind, and unless you know how to really manage your thinking process and how to change your thinking so that you can think more beneficially and more easily for your life, I didn't know any of that back then. Mm-hmm. But I think for me, it's really, one of the skills certainly that we've developed over these last few years, particularly through coaching, is mind reading. And it's understanding. We know how the mind works now, and we will be able to show you where you're getting in your own way. We will be able to tell through one conversation. And we know right now there's a part of you that's thinking, I've loved this and I want to keep up this momentum. And also we know that there's the part of you that's realizing now that there is something different available for you. And there's the part of you that wants to know how to keep this momentum going. And so you'll start to notice and to wonder what it would feel like to consistently experience this day in and day out. And so when you think from that perspective, then your next steps become obvious.
So tonight is all about you considering the choices you need to make in your life moving forward. And I'm going to end tonight's call with a story about a fly. And Bob Proctor is going to read this story to you about the fly. And the fly has choices, just like what we do. And the fly's choices are a matter of life and death. And sometimes ours might not be as extreme as that, but every choice we make takes us down a different path. You decide with commitment or you're interested. You can have excuses or you can have results. In the age of all the information that we've got at our fingertips right now, one thing that we're suffering from choice. Too many choices. So you need to decide what you want and say no to anything that wants to take you away from what you want to go after. Because success is faith expressed in action. And the prison doors are open for you to get out of the prison of your mind. And 5 seconds is all you need to make a decision. So as I bring this story on tonight, you've got a choice. We're back here tomorrow to talk about something we feel uncomfortable speaking about, which is all about money. But we want to thank you all for being so participative again tonight, because it's been absolutely incredible. And I hope you've got lots of thinking to do between now and tomorrow. So book a call with us. We are here for you. We have got your back more than you know. And we'll leave you with Mr. Proctor coming on. So enjoy this, and we'll see you again very, very soon.
I'm sitting in a quiet room at the Millcroft Inn, a peaceful little place hidden back among the pine trees about 1 hour out of Toronto. He said, it's just past noon in late July, and I'm listening to the sounds of a life or death struggle going on just a few feet away. There's a small fly burning out the last of its short life's energies in a futile attempt to fly through the glass of the window pane. The whining wings tell the poignant story of the fly's strategy. Try harder, but it's not working. The frenzied effort offers no hope for survival. Ironically, the struggle is part of the trap. It's impossible for the fly to try hard enough to succeed at breaking through the glass. Nevertheless, this little insect has staked its life on reaching its goal through raw effort and determination. The fly is doomed. It will die there on the windowsill. Now, across the room, just 10 steps away, the door is open. 10 seconds of flying time, and this small insect could reach the outside world it seeks. With only a fraction of the effort now being wasted, it would be free of its self-imposed trap. The breakthrough possibility is there, and it would be so easy. Why doesn't the fly try another approach? Something dramatically different. How did it get so locked in on the idea that this particular route and determined effort offer the most promise for success? What logic is there in continuing until death to seek a breakthrough with more of the same? No doubt the approach makes sense to the fly. Regrettably, it's an idea that will kill. Trying harder isn't necessarily the solution to achieving more. It may not offer any real promise for getting what you want out of life. Sometimes, in fact, it's a big part of the problem. If you stake your hopes for a breakthrough on trying harder than ever, you may kill your chances for success. It's such a phenomenal story. And then I tell them, that's only one page. There's 35 pages in here, and each page tells a different deal.